Hey guys, Swishy here. We're going to be going against a Jinx Draven aggro deck with my They Who Endure Spiders deck that I used to hit Masters just a little bit ago. I have a full guide playthrough on Reddit that I'll leave in the description below. But I think this matchup versus aggro plays out a little differently than people might expect, so I wanted to put a video in here. But we're going to be looking for as many trades as possible to build our They Who Endure so that we can finish them off with just the Overwhelm or the Atrocity that we keep a 2 of in the deck. But the one uniqueness thing about this deck is that we do swing very wide for the potential Battle Fury to get some guaranteed damage in. But let's go ahead and see how this plays out. Now, this was still early on. I think this is Diamond 3 into me playing out this deck, and I really undervalued how powerful Glimpse Beyond is, especially in this matchup. And I had just been going from playing so much more weaker curved, I guess, mid-range compared to this one. This one tends to almost always have some type of response on turn 2 or 3. You can't really draw poorly just because there's so few cards that are higher than that. So I should have kept the Arachnid Horror and the Glimpse Beyond in this case just to guarantee that I have an initial response, but I really wanted to search for that 1-drop to potentially stop that 3/2 Soldier or the 2/1 that pings for 1 immediately. So I sent everything back. So after now breaking over 100 games with the deck, I would say that Arachnid Horror and Glimpse Beyond would be the cards to keep, but nobody's perfect, and we kind of draw. Well, first we get the little friendly high five from Braum over there, but drawing Omen Hawk is our best 1-drop in the game, and even especially versus aggro, considering the hapless Aristocrat dying and then another one coming onto the board seems very valuable, but the +1/1 stats of Omen Hawk clearly make it the best 1-drop in the game, and the main reason why I feel like the Elusives deck is so strong at the moment. So our hand is pretty insane right now. We have the They Who Endure, which we'll be able to drop at the earliest convenience, and knowing that it's in our hand, we can kind of trade anything at any point, because we're just trying to build that, because that is our win condition. So we're going to go ahead and throw down the Elise. My worry here with the 3 mana was potentially pinging for just the 1. So if he had used Get Excited on the Elise, then obviously my tempo would be a lot lower. I could have attacked, then he'd play a card, and then we drop the Elise after. But I really wanted the tempo play of just getting her on the board and getting 3 minions potentially on the board. And worst case scenario, it's just 1 minion closer to They Who Endure, as well as emptying his entire first 2 turns, which would really set aggro kind of behind in tempo. So he does play the Spiderlings, and you see me very spastic. I was on a lot of coffee for this climb, but I'm wondering if I'm wanting to keep the Omen Hawk for trading, but even if he puts the 2/1 into it, then I can potentially block with a Spider later on, or I can still block it with Elise. So I really wanted to get that health to that threshold of, I'm assuming I need to get him around 9 to 11 health for the They Who Endure to finish the job. So getting the 1 extra ping damage to me was worth it. And he doesn't block with the 1/1. So kind of best case scenario for me, because I still get the defender. Omen Hawk goes into a Rasa, which is going to be kind of too slow for this matchup. That was my tech card in the climb for the Garen match. That was at least 80% of my matches, which luckily we were favored in. The meta has definitely shifted since then, and I have seen very little to no Garen decks, at least in Masters, which is definitely an entirely different ball game. So the 2 of Rasa is definitely our tech card that can be interchanged for other cards. But I'll be doing a deck breakdown and kind of give you some of the other options that you consider for what you're getting on ladder. So he opts to not attack with the 2 spiders, just because Elise is kind of big on the board, even with him having the mana to make a play out of it. And leaves or drops the battle cry guy, gives the +1 to all attackers. So drop 3 best drop in the game. Skitterer reduces all their attack by 1. And his swing lets me know he obviously has some kind of interaction with combat, because otherwise he would just be sacrificing the entire board. So normally I would defend with Elise if he was at least empty in mana here, but with him having that 2 to spare, I'm assuming he has some type of combat. And he does. He has Brother's Bond, so I would have lost we would have traded entire boards. So I think I made the right play on the combat for not blocking with the Elise, even though I would be able to attack right now and the 3/1 would trade into Elise anyways. I would lose the potential of 1 spider on the board. So I sacrificed that 3 HP to be able to gain that 1 extra spider for a potential blocker on his next combat. However, I do have one misplay here where he has only 4 mana to spare. If he wanted to kill my Elise with Get Excited or something, he could have anyways. And at this point, he's trying to get a Jinx or Draven on the board, but him being in the defensive, the Omen Hawk's Spider would... If he had defended with a Jinx or Draven, then it would have been more beneficial for me. So, and in a worst case scenario, then I'd get another 4 damage on the board. So my immediate attack by him was probably not the best play, but I don't think I remember. I think I thought that Brother's Band's damage fell off for some reason. So that led to that misplay, which he follows up with Jinx, and then I drop my Spider late. Here, his mana is empty, so I really wanted to cast Glimpse Beyond to draw 2 more cards, but versus aggro, the extra chump blocker is just so big in this situation. So there he goes, filling up his board a little bit, getting ready for a big attack. Still has 3 mana on the board. And here I'm going to play with combat a little bit, trying to figure out who I can go where. The Spider is an obvious chump blocker for Jinx, just to take as minimal damage as possible. My other alternatives were putting... Let's pause this. Look at this. So we have the 4/3 here. I could have put him over here and +2/2'd him to block, but with 3 mana on the board, he has way too many options. He has another Brother's Bond. He has a Get Excited. The whirling crap that is Draven's Face. Like, with 3 mana, there's just way too many options for him to take such a big value target with the Omen Hawk Spider on the board. So I wanted to prevent this damage. Another play, I could have put the 1/1 Spider in front of him to get him weaker for another Spider the following turns, but I wanted to put him in front of the target so that if he did spend mana to kill it, then I would have at least prevented this damage. And going back on it, I would probably have blocked the 3/2 with the Elise, but it's still putting me at only 14 HP, which is such a safe margin at the moment when we're going into turn 6 and I have my 2 biggest targets in hand. So I felt really safe at this point. So he does the discard to increase his swing to me, killing my value target, sadly. But at least when Elise attacks next turn, then he'll only be able to block with Jinx, and I have the threat to potentially kill him again. but Spider's gone. And at this point, I'm doing the math for how low I need to get him for how many trades I need to do till they endure will be able to finish this game for me. And I really wanted that 3 mana built up for Atrocity. So my original plan was if I drew nothing, They Who Endure would go down, and I would have the 3 mana built up for the following turn to hopefully close it out. But we get an even better option, and we get a free Elise level up. And with him only being at 7, we go for just filling the board. There's that awesome 2-drop. And we have a Hapless. And then he's trying to empty his hand for the Jinx flip over. So I know he wants to, next turn, he wants to clear out all my spiders. So I don't even want to give him I don't want to give him any more time than now he's put me on. Jinx flips over relatively quickly in this deck anyways, and so this was probably going to be a attack either way. But with the spider card, the one that summoned all the spiders and gave Elise the 3 attack, threatens the Jinx, so he can no longer block. And we've now threatened his life to finally get close enough for They Who Endure's range. Surprised he didn't block a 2-1 here to prevent a little more HP, but he really valued potentially singing twice with this guy. I think like that was a misplay on him. He should have top blocked the 2-1 because he probably only had one more attack out of him anyways. But we get the 2 targets dead to build They Who Endure and the Elise flip. And he has 2 of the discard cards for... His board's pretty big. If he empties this board, he's going to be swinging for an insane amount right now. So fancy animation times with zero music. Pump, pump. Now that 5-3 is... One of the main reasons I liked this VOD is because I really wanted to show how this deck has so many win conditions. If I had a Battle Fury in hand and he had, with his 4 units, I could swing with all these spiders. Whichever one he blocks, I Battle Fury, and it's safe out of Get Excited range. For me to just blow him out of the water at this point. At the same time, They Who Endure is a 9/9 at this point, I believe. And so swinging with all of them, I only have to hit for like 2 damage to finish the job as well. And then, so there's just so many options that this deck has to hop in, or to finish out the game. So I have 10 mana to work with. I obviously see I can't remember this name, Mark of the Isles with Atrocity to the face on Elise to finish out this game. But I really don't want to risk anything. Get Excited. It would have been safe out of Get Excited range, but me just being over cautious on a million loads of coffee, I dropped a Skitterer first just to get him to empty out his hand because I know he wants to get that Jinx to flip. So Spinning Axe should fly out any second here. Aggro deck takes a lot of thought for playing the 1 card in hand, so I'm sure that play took him a while to come up with. And then he gets that little, blows everything he has. Super Mega Death Rocket comes out, and then I have the guaranteed Mark of the Isles Atrocity to the face. Little emoticon because gotta BM aggro. And that's the job. Closing out with some more Atrocity nonsense and some GG emotes, but the standalone win stays as a deck that I really recommend for climbing to Diamond, but this Spiders and Doors deck has just really done well for me in climbing to Masters. So I'm going to do a couple playthrough videos, just like standalone wins, just showing the control, the aggro, and the mid-range matchups, just to get an idea of how each style is played out. And then we'll be going on to the next depth in meta. So thanks again.